everyone. I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati. I'm here with you today to continue the session that we started yesterday. So part of verbal English, we've been dealing with antonyms. So as something that you are enriching your vocabulary knowledge. So you have to focus on antonyms. So we started with antonyms and we dealt with the 20 questions, and today we are going to continue with the rest of the questions, right? So let's get started. So now, if they ask you the meaning of the word meager, right? So a tip for you, if you do not know the meaning of the word, question word, meager, for example, and you do not know the meaning of the question word, and also obviously you do not know the meaning of that word, answer if you have to choose one of those options. And so what do? Here is a tip for you. You can understand the remaining three options from these four options given, and you can choose, understand, and pick and eliminate from the options given, right? So if there is a word like meager, and if you know the meaning of the word kind, being very kind, being very merciful, and you are very generous and helpful. So if you are very kind, you can definitely, you can help others, right? You can be very good, help and be helpful to all the people around you, right? So you can eliminate the option, this kind, okay? So generous means once again, you can understand being very, generous enough to show some, consideration, and you are very helpful. And you do not know the meaning of the word copious, but you know the meaning of the word thoughtful. What is the meaning of the word thoughtful? So what is it? Thoughtful means, that's something which will evoke or that will help you think. And if that really stirs up you and that stimulates you, and for example, oh, it's such a thoughtful idea, or it's, you can say that's a thoughtful passage. So something that makes you think is something that you can say being thoughtful, right? So being thoughtful is very important sometimes in our life. So that is also one more eliminating option. You can do it because kind, generous, thoughtful, you know the meaning, and you know the meaning of the word meager, but you do not know the meaning of those of the word copious. So what do? Definitely you can opt and choose with closed eyes, option D, because you know the meaning of the words, like three words: generous, kind, thoughtful, and you do not know the meaning of the word copious. Then what do? You can choose and pick up the answer, option D, copious. That means like being, abundant, largely produced and having excess amount, and that you are very, generous enough to do it. But again, you should not, take the meaning of the word generous, but you can say that, in something that is more in number, and you can definitely spend that enough required thing. So that is the meaning of the word. That is how you can choose the option D, thought copious. Next question: Philistine. What is this Philistine? We say, right, Philistine is someone who is very, very intelligent and smart. Like, is that so? Now, let us think of the options. Novice, right? Novice. You would know the meaning of the word novice, which means he's a very fresh party or a candidate to the existing field. So somebody who is who you would know them and they know you, for example, but still you are very new to that field. He's a novice teacher, we say, right? Somebody who is very at the beginning of any work, and somebody who starts fresh. And so we can say without much experience, a person can be considered without much experience, and you can consider that person as a novice. Okay, so that is the meaning. And just think about the other options like pious, being very holy and respectful, and you can understand like debut, like where somebody can be enriching, can be, helpful and all that. So it is nothing to do with this intellectuality. So the meaning of the word Philistine means intellectual, being very intellectual. Option B is the right answer. Zenith. So the next question is Zenith. What is this Zenith? The Zenith, you have, he is at almost like Zenith, we say, at Zenith. So the meaning of the word Zenith is almost at the top of that. He's almost at the apex of it and the peaks of it. Almost that highest point. So you can say that he's at Zenith. So the options given for you here are worst, apex, nadir, and past. So now worst, of course, you can eliminate, saying that worst is somebody who is not worth enough, and apex is again the top position. Here you have to select the antonym opposite of it. So you cannot choose the word apex, and nadir is something which is the lowest point. Okay, almost the least point you can consider lowest point. So you can certainly select option C as the right answer, and past is something which you can really forgo the option because it is to do with the time. So option C is the right answer. Next, 24th question, German. Who is this German? German, right? Is it like the option given for you is highlighted in red, and you can think of the other options too while you are listening to me. Right, being indifferent. Okay, being indifferent. So something which is a bit strange and something which is not completely, common, right? And you partly get different there, and so indifferent, it's not very common. And secondly, impartial, not being, not showing any partiality. So without being partial, you are very impartial, you are very just, and your actions can be justified, and you are unbiased. So that's the meaning. Improvident, somebody who is not able to provide an insufficient funds, or somebody who is not able to it's like, circulate the sufficient funds, and you can think that this person is incapable of producing, goods, or somebody who is not able to provide for the family, right? So that person, improvidence or improvident, we can say. Here, now you can select the option given, irrelevant. Irrelevant is something which is out of context to the presently discussed situation. So you can certainly take the option irrelevant as the right answer. Next, irresistible. What is this irresistible? So now the options given are determined. You are very determined. You are very willing. You are very ready to do it, right? Determined. Now option B, placid or peaceful. Placid or peaceful. If you are very peaceful and placid, that means you're very calm, composed, and very harmonious, and without creating much disturbance, right? Reasonable, of course, finding out proper reason to do it. And for pliant is something which is completely wavering, and being very flexible and wavy and unsteady, like that kind of steadiness is not there. So you can say one kind of influencing factor, pliant. So now the option irresistible is disturbing, irritating, causing obnoxious work or environment, creating environment, obnoxious environment around you. So you can select the option B, placid, being peaceful. So placid is the right answer. Next, so what's the question asked last time? Irresistible. Next, approbate. Okay, approbate. What is this approbate? It's like, you create a kind of environment where you allow them to do something, you approve it, you sanction it, right? The options given: ingratitude, not being, very grateful, and you being very upset with something, and you are not very grateful to that. Condemnation, we say, right? Condemnation or condemn is something that you don't further, allow them to do it, or any longer, person who is able to continue, or who is not able to, who is not ready to, prove the actions of someone. Okay, so that is like you say no to that and you don't like them to do it, right? That's the option. Next is C, dissatisfaction. The dissatisfaction is that you are completely not satisfied. Okay, for master being, master of, everyone, and you like it, and you of course lead it. So that is the meaning. So you can select the option condemned, because condemn, like when approbate is something that which you allow them to do, approval is something which you don't allow them to do, and you condemn it, and you don't allow them to do the work continuously. So that is the answer. So option B is the right answer. Next, 27, supercilious. Supercilious. What is a supercilious? The supercilious means like you are extremely arrogant and strong-headed person. Like options given: A, unimportant; B, relevant; C, serious; 4, meek. Unimportant, relevant, serious, meek, and a supercilious person, we say, right? And somebody who's very arrogant. So you can think of the options: unimportant, being not very important; relevant, and something which is very related; serious, something which is very solemn and which you consider; D, meek. Meek is being very humble, being very very submissive, and somebody who's very obedient, right? So meek is the right answer. D, option D is the right answer. Next, 28, improvident. Do you remember the word we discussed some time back? So being improvident is somebody who is not in a position to provide for the family, and somebody who is not very, like somebody who is not very carefully planning the things for him. That would really help him in many ways. Even if he has to provide for his family, still he's not very ready, and so lack of planning and everything, or lack of resources, or lack of capacity or capability, he's unable to proceed with his planning, and sufficient funds are missing there, right? So you say improvident means like not being very cautious, right? And obviously you have to take the opposite antonym of the word improvident, so you can say cautious. A cautious person will always remember and provide. Okay, so that's the answer. Next, fortunate. Somebody who is very fortunate enough is like somebody who is willing to, who's very, ready to do it, and somebody who receives everything, and something is very favorable. Okay, so that can be the option. Proven means like something which can be proved. Okay, D, intelligent, being very intelligent, smart. So that is self-explanatory, right? You don't have to worry about it. So that's the option. So cautious is the right answer. Next, demo. What is this demo? Like, now let us look at the options given. Embrace; B, crude; C, boisterous; 4, falter; and unsteadiness. So let us think about these options given. You embrace something, that you hug, you accept, you welcome that. Basically, that is the idea, or different ideas you can think over. Next, crude is something, it's not very, smooth, and it's completely being very rough. And boisterous, playful, and kind of notorious, and somebody who's not very disciplined. And option 4, falter, or being unsteady, wavering all the time, not at all in one place, and something which is very wavy, and almost like it is not one in a stable position, right? So that is the option given: falter or unsteadiness. So option 29, option D more, falter can be the answer. Next, fatuous. So options given: crafty, frugal, sensible, inane. So you can say fatuous is somebody who is very stupid, kind of like idiotic in his behavior, and somebody who is not very sensible. And okay, crafty, very cunning, okay, very clever. Frugal, also like somebody, with regard to this expenditure, economic, how things can be saved or not be, that is a sense. And sensible, being sensible is it's like, to be able to rationalize and use this power of presence of mind, and being very sensible, knowing what to do in the context. Next, inane is very, it's being very calm, and not, it's like, somebody who's out of his thinking, and it's very neutral. And so you can take option C, sensible, is as the right answer. Next, quiescent, right? Quiescent. So what's the meaning of it? And then you have to provide this antonym. Okay, quiescent. So lackadaisical, or no determination. Lackadaisical in the sense like somebody who is not very, keen and determined to do something. Okay, so that such a person is called a lackadaisical person. Next, being very active. C, dull. 4, prescient. What is this? Prescient or prediction. Somebody who keeps, forcing the things, and he sometimes guesses, and you prepare answer, or like you can also say it's a prescient, right? So you can use the either way. So prescient or prediction, we can say that somebody who is able to predict the things before. And lackadaisical is like, person without any determination. So you can think and consider, active. Quiescent is somebody who is not very not as sportive, and who is very inactive. Somebody who is very inactive, and is not very agile, and not showing any good signs of readiness, preparedness. So that person can be somebody who is very slothful, and sluggish and lethargic. So we can consider active, being agile, is the opposite of it. So option B is the right answer. Next, sapient. So now we have to think, what is sapient? Having a human-like mind and brain, right? And hunch, options given. Hunched is like you stoop to bend, to reach something, or like, hunching position, like you bend your lower back and you sit in that position. And being strong is very, having strength and strong mind. Simple, without much, other decorative and unnecessary complex things. And simian is like, person who has this ape-like structure, animal resemblance. So obviously sapient is a, person with a reason. Okay, mind, sapient, somebody who uses his brain and mind. So you can take that as simian as the right option, like person with an ape-like structure. Like matutinal. What is this? Paternal? No, it is nothing to do with father-related relationships. It is like crepuscular, or it's like, is to do with night, which is, kind of like pitch dark, and it is like almost when it is almost, evening and little late in the evening, and could be where it is completely, darkness, and complete full of darkness. So we can say crepuscular, kind of like thick things that happen, or like not date and events at least. So that could be the answer. And C, maritime. Maritime is some like sea related things and photos, pictures, or anything, any events or actions. Okay. So marsupial. Marsupial is like a mammal-like structure like mammal-like structure, basically a mammal, you can say. So now obviously matutinal is morning, daytime. Okay. So when it is like during daylight or dawn time, you can say matutinal. So obviously the opposite will be crepuscular, night. Impecunious. So you have to find out the opposite or antonym of it. Impecunious. Option A given, wealthy. B, cautious. C, hungry. Option D, tardy. Option D, tardy. So wealthy, cautious, hungry, and tardy. For example, let us find out the meaning and then opposite of the word impecunious. So option A, wealthy. Somebody who is very rich and wealthy, stable enough. Somebody who is very cautious, and always like he foresees the danger, and somebody who is very much ready to see the danger, and somebody who is very alert, very much alert. And option C, hungry, voracious, a person who is very ever ready to have it, right? Somebody who feels very hungry and all. And tardy, being tardy means like always procrastinating things or delaying things, so almost like about that kind of delay happens. And so obviously you can say, well, the impecunious is being very poor and wretched, have a wretched condition, and they have a wretched condition, for example, like so. And obviously that the opposite of that would be wealthy, being very rich. Okay, impecunious is the right answer. That is, wealthy is the right answer. Next question. Ruffle. What is this ruffle? Ruffle is something which you can say that being very sad and depressed. Okay. So now look at the options given. Sorrowful. Okay. Extremely depressed, being sorrowful. Inadequate, being very inadequate, not sufficiently provided, not sufficiently given. Say tragic, being very, tragic, situation, being in a tragic situation, extremely unpleasant things happening around, and extremely poor, depressing events. So bewildered, option bewildered is very confusing options, like confused or tense, not knowing what somebody is doing. And then option E, joyful, being very merriful, happy, extremely happy, being joyful. So obviously ruffle is sorrowful in one word. We can take option A as the meaning or synonym, okay, of the word ruffle, and obviously the antonym will be joyful. So option A is the right answer. Now you have to guess the answer, right? So in the given question, dissuade. So option A, you have to find out the answer. So I'm not going to show you the answer now. Once in a while you have to check your understanding and comprehension, right? So option A, encourage. Option B, intrigue. Option C, trigger. Option D, tarnish. Option E, embellish, like you provide. Tarnish, you damage, you trigger, you evoke something. Intrigue, you intervene some in somebody else's affairs. Okay, encourage, you encourage someone, you kind of like you persuade, convince someone, you comfort them, you make good attempts. Okay, so that is the option. So when you say dissuade means what? Like you don't discourage. Okay, you don't persuade anymore. Persuade, just the direct opposite antonym of this word persuade. So when you dissuade means like you are not persuading. So obviously encouraging, persuading will be the right answer. Okay, you can choose the option. Notoriety is what? Being very notorious, being this kind of notoriety means like kind of like not very disciplined and very playful, boisterous, and also possessing ill fame. Okay, and celebrity is one option, and nickname, it's obviously not nickname, and fame is to do with popularity. Sobriquity is kind of like nickname again. So the meanings, same meaning is reflected in two options, so it is repetitive. And you can say notoriety, somebody is very unpopular and blameful. And celebrity is somebody who celebrates, or a rich person, or somebody who has this fame and name. So you can go with the option B, celebrity. Okay, and next, soggy. So you have to provide the antonym for the word. Okay, antonym, to the question asked, soggy, being very, it's like, moisture. It's really kind of like a lot of moisture is there, and it's moisturized. And juicy could be, okay, soggy, somebody which is wet and all. And damp is also kind of those wetlands and all. Withered, something is like, faded, and it's not in very good use. Weak, being very weak, not of any good use, and not being very strong, and not being very useful. Option E, dry. Okay, being very, which is very dry without any drop of water. Not being very, being very wet. And you can say dry is the option, because soggy is full of wet, or kind of moistured, moistured, a kind of like element or anything, whereas soggy is like wet, full wet, and whereas dry, being dry, is something which you don't feel any moist there. So you can take the option E, dry, as a right answer. Next question, smoothly. So now, okay, you can say suavely, calmly, placidity. All these are to do with, calmness. Okay, urbanly, courteous manner. So very kind, very nice. Obviously, when it is something peaceful and smooth, the option antonym, it will be like abrasively, very rough, kind of harsh, all that. Okay, so you can choose that option as the right answer. Assuagement. What is assuaging someone? Assuagement. What is this? Like being very distressful. That is like not, having full of sorrow, and full of kind of like, very depressed state. Okay. So composure, like controlled, comfort, and very calm, and you feel very feel. And disturbance, yes, it's uneasiness and disturbing things. Aloofness, being away from someone. Okay, aloofness. So disturbance is something which you can say you are disturbed. Okay, so you are disturbed completely. That can be the right option. Assuagement means you comfort someone. Disturbance means you create a disturbance. So that's the right answer. Solidus is something which is very emotional, and which is very comforting, which is very soothing, and which is very good. Okay, which is very comforting, which is very soothing. So you can say that apathetic is something which is very good, and you say solidus means something which is very comforting, which is very soothing, and apathetic is very unemotional, being very harsh. Okay, so emotional is being very kind of like showing feelings and good things. Okay, alert, being very alert. You're always ready. Eager, you are always eager towards something. Pathetic, very deplorable situation. Okay, so you can choose this answer, apathetic, being very harsh and rude, as the right answer. Next, fusing. Okay, fusion means like together. Okay, union, kind of like you can attribute to that word also, union, together. Participation, you participate, you involve, you get involved. Isolation, you isolate yourself away from that. Okay, marriage, covenant. Okay, kind of like you enter the relationship. Gloom, being very sad. Okay, so fusion is something which you go together, whereas isolation is you can say like you isolate yourself away. Okay, like you are aloof, being aloof. So you can take this as the right answer, isolation. Next, somnolent. So what is the meaning of the word somnolent? Like you somnolent fellow, we say, right? Being very drowsy, sleepful. When we have this excessive work, our body gets tired, our mind doesn't work effectively. Now our mind also, it is affected and it gets tired. So we need to give enough rest to our body and mind. So what happens if you don't give rest to your mind and body? Obviously, you become so drowsy and sleepful, like your body shows symptoms of tiredness. So you can take that as the right option. Okay, drowsy. Again, the equivalent word for this question word somnolent. And lively, being agile, fresh. 3, cheerful, being very cheerful, like very happy. Okay, joyous. 4, joyous, being very happy and extremely, merryful, rejoicing. D, obviously, when it is you feel drowsy and you say somnolent, and option D, being very active. Somnolent is like somebody who is very drowsy, right? And activeness or being active is that's something you can really take. Okay, opposite as our antonym of the word somnolent. Mellifluous. Mellifluous means what? Mellifluous is something which is again, like kind of like a very, like kind of smooth. Okay, kind of like smooth and servile. Like you can take harmonious as also the equivalent. Pitchable, something which you can really take. Discordant, kind of not very, favorable. Okay, so internal, external. So you can take the option C, discordant, which is not favorable and all. Right, we'll proceed with the other question. 48, prodigal, being prodigal. Okay, prodigal son, we say, right? Prodigal, like kind of, who is very, kind of, somebody we can say, something to do with the money, how he is not going to do it. Okay, somebody who is extravagant, who is very, spendthrift, who's a spendthrift, spends a lot of money. Okay, like being generous is nothing to do with that. Revisable is nothing to do with any reverse. Frugal is somebody who is very good, good at expenditure, very economic and calculative. Wealthy, of course. Rich, being rich, again the same. So you can go with the option C, frugal, who is very economic and very calculative. Next, disaster. Being very disaster. Like what is this? Disaster means extremely sorrowful, pathetic situation. Okay, puzzle. Now let's see the options given. Puzzle, kind of like a complex thing which you have to solve on your own. Next option B, success, being very, successful. Option C, omen, like you see a sign or star in something in the sky. 4, festival, you celebrate it, celebratory. Fiasco, also the same. So now you have to take, the option kind. Fiasco is like something which is very merryful and very happy. Okay, so you can take the option fiasco as the right answer. Animate, inanimate, animate. Animate means what? Something which is very agile and lively. Okay, so the options given: truthful, false, active, dull, lazy. You can go with the option lazy, like animate, inanimate, very inactive and all. You can go with lazy or dull. Anything could be right. Now go next. Another question. Wretched condition. Like we discussed several times about this word. We discussed this word several times. Like wretched means like poor condition, deplorable condition. Like options given: good, tidy, neat, clear, scenic. So now good, very good, clear, scenic, beautiful, tidy, neat, clear. You can say good as something which is very relevant. Actually, you can talk about tidy, also clear, scenic. They are a bit relevant, but good can be the nearest option you can really think about. Okay, next question. Squander. You squander around. Okay, you go around. Waste, squandering without, wasting a lot of time. Presume, donate, economize, or liberate. You waste a lot of money. Like, guess what? What's the answer? You economize, you waste a lot of money, or you donate. You have to think about it. So you presumption, you presume it, or liberate, or you waste. What is that? Being unfruitful. Okay, you economize, very that could be the nearest option. Economize, you can think and be calculative. Okay. So, and last question for this session today is perturbed. Okay. Okay. What is this? Perturbed. Perturbed means what? Okay. Perturbed means like you look very, tensed and you are out of your, situation or control, I would say. Okay. Perturbed, or you can say perturbed also. For example, like perturbed is like you look worried, maybe controllable, could be composed, okay, without being completely, without losing your balance of mind. So that decided, resolved. So you can go with the option composed, full control, and being very good and active. Okay. So with these questions we will close our session. You can think of the several antonyms that you have in your mind, or else you can go out of your box and learn a few antonyms, enrich your vocabulary, you can enrich your synonyms. So this is the basic idea for them, the paper setters, to test your knowledge in different forms like synonyms and antonyms. So this is very important, don't neglect, and you can definitely develop your vocabulary well, and certainly you can clear the placement paper verbal ability English. Okay, thank you for listening very patiently. We'll meet with another topic in the next session. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.